Hi, I just want to go over some things with you that hopefully you already know from last year and maybe the year before. And they are the steps in the writing process, the 6 traits of writing, and subject, occasion, audience, and purpose. And then I'll talk just a little bit at the end about what your writing assignment is going to be. And you will also, of course, see it on the assignment post on your Google Classroom. There are 4 steps in the writing process. As you can see, there's A and B on step 3, and so some people say there are 5 steps in the writing process. But since the first thing you're going to be doing for my class is a writing assignment, I want to see how well you're doing, how much English you remember after not being in class for a long time. And you're going to be doing this, all these steps. You're going to be thinking about these traits, and you're going to be getting ready to write with soap. So the steps in the writing process are pre-writing, drafting, and then step 3, revising and proofreading, and step 4, publishing. Step 1, pre-writing, is not when you write your paper for the first time. That is not pre-writing. Pre-writing is selecting a topic and organizing your thoughts. If you looked at your assignment, then you know that it's going to be writing about a personal experience. So you might just brainstorm personal experiences you've had that you might be able to write about and fit the length requirement for your paper. And then you need to organize your thoughts. Many times when you're telling a story, sorry, I'm getting tongue twisted. Many times when you're telling your story, you're just going to tell it chronologically. One thing happened, and the next thing happened, and the next thing happened, and the next thing happened. That's fine. But also you need to decide where exactly to begin. If you are writing about your time in Roatan, when you went to Roatan one time, I don't really, as a reader, need to know what time you got up in the morning, what bus you took, what you did on the way to Roatan. If you're just really writing about your time in Roatan, you need to decide where to begin. You might begin when you all jumped out of the car and ran to the beach. You might begin at a different place. You gotta think about that. When somebody said something, we're almost there or something. Think about where to begin and think about where to end. Every good story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So, what happened? Was there some kind of problem? Did you resolve the problem? Did you have a really, really awesome dinner that you want to talk about? You don't really need to talk about washing the dishes after dinner unless it was part of the main experience you want to talk about. So where to start, where to end, what details to include. You might list some things and maybe cross some things out. That's all part of pre-writing. For other kinds of writing, pre-writing might include doing a web diagram, doing an outline, talking with somebody, interviewing somebody that you're going to write about, or something like that. All these are pre-writing. Before you even start your essay, pre-writing. Number 2, drafting. There's where you do your first time of writing. And we call it a rough draft. Rough being the opposite of smooth. Being it's not going to be neat. Please don't try to make it perfect. But do skip lines, or if you're typing, double space. One qualification, while we're doing remote learning even, your rough draft needs to be physical, a physical document. You can either write it in your notebook, write it on a cocktail napkin, I don't care. You need to make it physical. Or you can type it out and print it out if you have access to a printer. Step 3, you need to take that physical copy and you need to make it even messier by making changes on it. You need to revise it and proofread it. That's where we get into the 6 traits. The reason I give you the 6 traits is because that's how I'm grading your paper. Many times when people go over their paper in step 3, they only think about conventions, spelling, capitalization, punctuation, grammar. But actually there are more things to think about. That's only 1/6 of the things I'm looking at when I'm looking to grade your paper. Number 1, ideas. Did you include brushing your teeth when you were talking about your trip to Roatan. That's too many ideas. You don't need that idea. But did you include all the important things that need to be included? Still part of ideas. Organization. In talking about a personal experience, it's probably, like I said, going to be chronological. If you skip around, then people can't follow your story. So we will talk about another way to organize something when we do another kind of paper. Voice has to do with who you're talking to or what your setting is. If you're texting somebody, you would use different language than you would use if you're writing a newspaper article or something for class. You need to use language that's more formal for class or for a newspaper article. Word choice. Word choice has to do with partly, are you using the correct English word for something? One of the English words that we have trouble with sometimes is comprehensible. Comprehensious or something like that doesn't mean what you think it means. You need to use the correct word. Understanding, I can be very understanding. Okay? Sentence fluency. Let me go back one more thing. Word choice. It's better to say some food is delicious than it is to say that it is good. Because good is a really general word and you could mean just about anything. Is it pretty? Is it delicious? Is it well organized? What is the meaning behind the word good? And you want to be more specific with things like that. Sentence fluency. You got to remember these technical terms. Run-on sentences, comma splices, fragments, things like that. Or do you have all really short sentences and you sound like a robot when I am reading your paper out loud? Then those things go on sentence fluency. And conventions, like I said, grammar, punctuation, spelling, those things. All of that is part of step 3. Making sure you have these 6 traits correct in your writing. Number 4, publishing. In our instance, publishing just basically means you're turning your work in. When you do step 4, you're doing a neat copy. You can either write it on your paper and take a picture just like you did with the drafting. Just make sure it's neat, please, and you know who I'm talking to. Or it can be digital. Since we're remote, I can read your paper digitally. You do not have to print it out and take a picture. Okay? It can be digital. This, no, not digital. This, yes, digital. And then finally, I want you to remember to write with SOAP. And this is just sort of a way to remember things about writing. The subject, are you addressing the correct subject that was given to you in your assignment? The occasion, remember the voice, remember who you're talking to. If I say to introduce something to your fellow students, you would use different words than if I say introduce something to Ms. Annie. You're going to use more formal words, I hope, to introduce something to Ms. Annie. And even more formal words if you're going to introduce something to the mayor or the president. Audience. So I'm kind of thinking about occasion and audience at the same time. But occasion is like, what occasion are you writing for? And the audience is, who are you writing for? And then finally, purpose. You need to remember what the purpose is. And in this case, writing about a personal experience, your purpose probably is to entertain or to make your audience feel something. It could be a sad experience or even an experience that made you angry, but you want your audience to feel something. That would be your purpose. So all of the details you include and the kind of language you use would go to your purpose. And my board is slipping. Anyway, I want you to copy all of this stuff into your notes so you have a copy of it in your notebook, even when you're not watching this video. I don't want you to have to go back to this video and find this stuff. You will have to know this. It will be on a test or exam, and you will have to know it in your steps for the writing process. As we do the writing this year, remember, just like last year, we'll have about 8 assignments of writing this year, 6, 7, or 8 assignments. And so you'll need to know this stuff. Remember, be prepared, be punctual, be productive, and be respectful.